Thank you very much. Welcome to Mary Wieden and you. Glad to have you along with us today. This is going to be an awfully hot day, folks, so do take care. I mean, every day is hot, but this is going to be, I think, one of the hottest ones of the summer, they say. So please be cautious of it. Be smart about it. Now, I've got here in the studio, and I'm so glad that he's been re-upped. Chief Joseph Wade, Jackson Police, welcome. You've got a smile on your face.
Look, it's bright and early. It's a beautiful day. God bless me to wake up this morning, so I have no complaints. But it's an honor to be here with you. Seemed like a long time since I've been here.
Well, didn't bother you for a while because during the whole thing, we did a lot of things with candidates,
yes.
both in Jackson, and then we seem to have gotten a glut of Rankin County people as well.
Yes.
I said the other day, and of course this is after the election, I said the other day, this is not the Rankin County radio station because we do have a lot of them in there. But
yes.
So you got counterparts to deal with. But
yes.
I want to know, I saw this interview with you last week or the week before that there were things you could not do before,
mm-hmm.
and now that you can do so. I know that you're not going to say what you couldn't do, mm-hmm. but we can talk about now you are free to, what I say is, do what you must and do what you want and do what you have to do to make Jackson safe.
Yes.
That's what you're free to do.
Yes. First of all, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to continue to serve the great citizens of Jackson and the men and women of the Jackson Police Department. We've done a lot of great work over the past 2 years, but we still have a very long way to go. I had some great conversations with the mayor, his transition team, prior to him taking office, and I felt so good about those conversations.
Good.
It reinvigorated me, it galvanized me as to what the future looks like for the city of Jackson.
John Horn knows what the city needs. Yes. I mean, he's a local guy, but he's been in the state Senate for a long time. Before that, he did tourism, and I'd kind of forgotten about that, but because he's been in the Senate so long. But he knows.
Yes.
He knows exactly what his hometown needs.
Yes, exactly. And when he talked about taking the handcuffs off, of course, you had some people that went into a negative direction. Oh, they're going to be more aggressive with the community. No, that is simply us being proactive as a law enforcement agency. I'm very excited about that. Now you see more boots on the ground. Now you see detectives in uniform out on patrol, saturated patrols, directed patrols, and that's the direction we're going to move into as we move towards the end of the year. Right now we've hit our peak months, May, June, and July with crime. Right now, we are seeing numbers that are unheard of in the city of Jackson. And what I mean by that, Mary, last year this time, July 22nd of 2024, we were at 70 homicides.
Whoa. What are we at now?
July 2024, we were at 70 homicides.
Uh-huh.
Today, we're at 34.
Wow.
51% reduction in homicides that the Jackson Police Department is working. That is amazing work. And let me say this, the 31 are solved, which means we have a 90% solvability rate. We were one of the most dangerous cities in the country per capita.
Yes.
In 2021, we had 157 murders in the city of Jackson.
Well, I remember because I was keeping track of that stuff back then, it's like every day I would come to work, here's, a few more.
Yeah, unheard of numbers. To get those numbers down right now, as I sit here today, to 34, that's unheard of, a 51% reduction in homicides in the city of Jackson. But guess what? Now with us being more proactive, now with us having this great relationship and continue to build upon that relationship with the state, with all the relationships that Mayor Horn has and the relationships that I've built. And one of the relationships, today I'll be expanding on. I have a meeting with Chief Bo Lucky with Capital PD, and we're going to talk about MOUs. And that's something.
Memorandums of Understanding is what that stands for.
Exactly. And we've been talking about these things for years. But now under the leadership of Mayor Horn, the city council, the state, Commissioner Tyndall, we have a great relationship, Chief Bo Lucky, the whole DPS team. Now we're going to bring these MOUs to fruition. And the beneficiary of that is not Chief Joe Wade. It's the citizens of Jackson.
Well, there's been a feeling, and I felt this during the campaign season because we had a lot of people on, and not necessarily just from Jackson, but about Jackson. There was very positive feelings that, hey, you know what, this is our time to do it.
Yes.
The city does not have to go down the tubes. That kind of stuff can stop, and we can go forward and forward and forward. And the important thing is to keep that momentum going.
Yes, and that's the key. And I understood this early on we cannot do it by ourselves. We cannot do it by ourselves.
Oh, no, you need the people.
Exactly. We need the people. We need the community engagement. We need the engagement with our law enforcement partners. And when I say that, I mean the Hinds County Sheriff's Department,
Which
Sheriff
I think you've had a good relationship.
We have a great
sure.
relationship. We talk, we communicate all the time. We talk about strategies. We talk about details. We just talk about how we can move the city and the county forward. Mm-hmm. As Jackson goes, the whole state of Mississippi goes.
That's right.
And the reason I say that is now we are NIBRS compliant. That's a big deal.
NIBRS. That was one of my questions I had down. Like, what is? I know about NCIC, but I don't know about NIBRS, and we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that right now, or do you want to include in our conversation? But
we can
tell about that. What is that?
We can talk about it now because it's such a big deal.
What is
First of all, as you know, we were reporting crime to the FBI via UCR, Uniform Crime Reporting. Mm-hmm. Now the new system is NIBRS. It's a more comprehensive way of reporting crime in your community, but more importantly, it is the new standard for reporting crime across the country. And if you don't report your crime this way, then you could lose federal funding, or you will be losing some of your resources that are given to your area by the federal government. It stands for National Incident-Based Reporting System.
Makes good sense.
National Incident-Based Reporting System. UCR was kind of a summary report. This is more comprehensive. Mm-hmm. This is the new standard. I had the opportunity to go to West Virginia with the Special Agent in Charge, FBI, and the DPS team to talk about NIBRS and the benefits of it. We want as many FBI agents assigned to Jackson as we can get. U.S. Marshals, DEA, Secret Service. We get them by being NIBRS compliant. We don't get them by just saying, hey, we need help, waving the white flag. They're going to look at our NIBRS numbers, and now we are in the 60% of the state agencies or law enforcement agencies that are NIBRS compliant, 60%. So there are about 40% that are not NIBRS compliant. But again, as Jackson goes, the state of Mississippi goes.
Absolutely. Well, so you want these people like FBI, et cetera, DA, and so on, because of drug problems? I mean, you've got a handle on the murder situation, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes on out there. So would they be of help for that? So here, I-20 and I-55, I mean, I see this as the big intersection of drugs and people trafficking and so on.
Yes, but the thing about it, they have been a part of that success that we are experiencing with the 51% reduction in homicides. And this is why. We're not just trying to send you to the county jail. If I can get a federal nexus, some type of federal charge along with that charge, then we don't have to worry about you pillaging our community anymore. But that's one of the reasons we've been able to get our numbers down, because now we are arresting these bad actors. We are putting them in jail. They're getting no bonds and $1 million bonds. So they're not killing somebody on Friday, then right back at it the next Friday. They're sitting in jail. And that's the way we do that, by working closely with our county, state, and federal partners to make sure that we're all on the same page as we go forward, focusing on these bad actors and get them out of our community.
Are they local, the bad actors, or do we have a lot of influx from Chicago particularly?
Most of them are local. We have to be honest about that. Some of them have been allowed to nest in our community without any type of accountability. But now there's going to be some accountability. It's going to be called arresting you, putting you in jail. That's going to be the accountability piece. But we have to be honest, Mary, and I leaned into this. So I don't want people to be shocked when I talk about that we have a gang problem in Jackson.
Oh, yeah, that's been known.
It's been known, but nobody admitted to it.
Did I hear you say one time 13 gangs?
30. Traditional and non-traditional hybrid gangs we've identified here in the city of Jackson.
30.
But the first methodology of solving a problem is to first admit that you have a problem. So we've identified that we have a problem. Now we're identifying who is the problem. And we have a great intelligence unit. We have a great young lady that's assigned to the FBI task force is working with us, and she has put pen to paper as to who is who, the recognizable indicators as it relates to gang activity, and addressing these individuals and focusing on what they're doing in our community. Again, that's the way you address crime. I love Random Patrol. Random Patrol has been around since 1995 when I was a rookie. But we've got to have more strategic patrols, more directed patrols, and more of a drilled down focus on who our bad actors are. And that's the reason that we are experiencing a 51% reduction in homicides this year.
What do these people want? They want a certain territory, and if you come into my territory, blam, blam, you're dead.
Yeah,
That's essentially the way it works.
Yeah, it's all about money. The drug market, exactly, and things like that. We have an issue that's not talked about a lot, and that's human trafficking.
Oh, yeah.
So all of these things are, again, comprehensive. It's not, 1, 2, 3, and there's a silver bullet. You change chiefs or you change this person. It's a pervasive issue. It's a complex issue. It's a visceral issue that we're facing when you talk about crime. But we have got to be strategic. We've got to lean into all of our partners, whether it's from the academic community, the practical aspect of it as we address these issues of crime. Again, it's not easy as 1, 2, 3. It's a complex issue.
Do some of these people, and this will go into your relationships with your compatriots, but do some of these people, I'll get out of Jackson, I'll go up to Madison, or I'll go to Neshoba County, or I'll go to the coast or something like that. Where do they migrate to?
It happens.
That's okay. How does that happen?
It is happening.
I know how it works, but how does it work?
Yeah, it is happening. First of all, you have to realize that I-55 is the pipeline to the north and to the south. And we have individuals here. First of all, we have to realize that we have one of the most dangerous cities in the country just north of us, and that's Memphis. And I'm not saying that because I'm, Monday morning quarterbacking anything that they're doing. I think they're doing a wonderful job. I had the opportunity to visit Memphis. A couple months ago, I sat down with some of their command team. I saw some of the great work that they're doing, but they have a major gang issue. When I was in Memphis, I want to say it was back in March, I talked about I had 19 homicides at that particular time. They were at 70 plus.
Wow.
So they have a major issue, but some of those individuals are migrating down to South Haven, Tunica, Greenville, Greenwood, and then to Jackson. So we have to realize that as well. That's why we have to have communications with our federal partners and state partners so we can track their activity just as they're plotting on innocent citizens. We are coming up with a strategy to deal with them as well.
So you are in touch with these PDs?
Absolutely.
Obviously, you have to be, but yeah.
Absolutely. I was up in DeSoto County. I had a chance to sit down with Sheriff Tuggle. I went up there and met with him. We had a great conversation. As a matter of fact, me and Chief O'Lucky. So I came up with an idea last week, and I ran it by the mayor. He was, fully receptive of it, and I really appreciate him, is this ski mask situation we're facing.
What's that?
I don't know if you heard about it. Last week I talked about it to the city council, where we have individuals walking around this city or riding bicycles with ski masks on.
Duh.
Thank you. In 90-degree weather, I was sweating walking in here, Mary. So imagine if I had a ski mask on.
Who would do that?
Exactly. But they're doing it for several reasons. First reason, the gang culture is an intimidation factor. And it's also to conceal who they are because they know that we have facial recognition. So now I'm working with our city council, I'm working with our city legal department to come up with a draft as to what that ordinance looks like. But guess what, Mary? I've had chiefs from around the metro area and even up to North Mississippi that want a copy of that draft so they can put it into play because they see it in other places as well. Like I said all the time, Mayor, we don't have a monopoly on crime. I want to have a monopoly on how we deal with crime.
Usually, the complaints that I see around the country is, protesters, especially the violent ones, they're wearing masks. Duh, they don't want to be recognized, but they complain about the ICE agents wearing masks. Well, hello.
Yes.
Yes. Honestly.
Again, another complex situation.
I was going to ask. I wanted to ask you, by the way, have you had ICE in the city, and have you worked with them? And what is your sense on all that?
Well, ICE is nothing new to law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement.
The rounding up,
No, we have not been a part of that. No, we have not been a part of any roundups or anything like that. Yeah, that's a conversation. That's a deeper conversation. I see what's going on around the country.
Right.
I see what's going on in California right now. Yep. And, it's a very emotional situation. It's an emotionally charged situation. And I have not had a chance to sit down with any of our federal partners to talk about that. My issue in Jackson, I like to stay focused. I tell my team all the time, you have to determine what your priorities are. everything can't be your priority. So my priority is violent crimes in our community.
No matter who's doing it.
I don't care who it is. I want to say laser focused on getting these violent offenders out of our community that are robbing people, that are shooting at people, that are carjacking people, and that are killing people. They have my full attention, and that's who I'm focused on as we move forward.
I don't think Jackson has got a problem, and it's the illegals. And by the way, it's illegal, not illegal. Honestly, I hear people say all these illegals.
When I go out of town and I teach or I speak at different conferences, I tell them I'm bilingual. I speak English and Mississippi. So please, they recognize I'm from Mississippi.
Well, it's not Mississippians who are saying this, though. It's like national people, reporters to the illegals. No, they're illegals. And by the way, it's not fentanyl, it's fentanyl.
Yes.
There's no O in that whole thing. But, I don't think the problem exists so much in Jackson, I don't think, as it does in other communities like Scott County. Scott County or Forest County? Scott County is east of here. I think that's where some of that, a lot of that stuff is. We don't have that, but you may one day. But you'll have federal partners.
Yeah, we have a very large Hispanic population in Jackson. We have to be honest about that, but we have to also be honest about what crime looks like in Jackson. And most of the time, what I'm seeing is that they are victims of crime more than committing crimes in our community.
Well, if they're legal, then they don't have a problem.
They don't have bank accounts. They don't have stuff like that. And, we have individuals that prey on these individuals. So that's one of the issues that we're faced with that I see on a day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month basis here in the city of Jackson.
I think Lance is going to play us out into a commercial. Can we stay another segment or two? This is good.
All right.
And this is Chief Joseph Wade having the best time of your career, I would have to say, right now. We'll be back in just a few minutes on Mary, Wieden, and You. Is that not the best?
I like that. I like it. What you talking about?
Have you ever heard that before?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's from Diplo. It's
based on
Diplo.
Chris Lake and Deceiver.
Chris Lake
is the name of it.
It's called Deceiver. But nobody's deceiving anybody, but that's it.
Okay.
I heard that.
Awesome.
It's not new. It's 2-3 years old, but I said, golly, I just got to have that.
Yes, so, I love it. It's fitting. It's fitting.
Absolutely. It's like it's my mantra. I love that one a whole lot. So anyway, this is Chief Joseph Wade, and you have become all what you want to be is what I think you've become with the new mayor, because you said it yourself, the handcuffs are off and you can do the things that you want to do and that you need to do. Mm-hmm. And if folks would like to get a hold of us, we're at 888-808-8637. You can text us at 601-879-4395. Well, we've talked about, we did NIBRS, and we did that one. That's the one. Yes. Very important communication link with all the feds, et cetera.
Yes.
What is your relationship with the Capitol Police? How do you interface, or, like if I call 911 and I'm someplace,
yes,
am I going to, do you cross over? Do you work together? How does that work?
And that's a very good question. It's a question that I get all the time, that I still receive in community meetings, on the radio, with the media. And it's a question that needs to be answered, but more importantly, understood. Capitol Police has a primary jurisdiction. It's about 17 square miles, which kind of branches out from downtown Jackson, right? So we have a shared mutual jurisdiction. They have this 17 square miles. I hope I'm quoting it right, because I know it just recently expanded, 17 square miles. But I am responsible for 111 square miles, the whole entire city of Jackson. But they have a primary jurisdiction within the CCID. An example of that would be Jackson State University. They have their own police department. I can't go over there and start writing tickets and arresting people on campus without communicating with them, because they have their primary jurisdiction. So with that being said, once the CCID was put into place, I understand it. Let me raise my hand right now and say I welcome the help.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right? I welcome the help, because, again, the beneficiary of that is the citizens of Jackson. Right, I think Chief Lucky, I have a meet with him today. I'm very excited about that meeting because, again, we're going to talk about MOUs. But he has around 160 law enforcement officers, somewhere around there. I'm not 100% sure, but I have around 260
And
right?
you want to have.
Yeah. I would love to have more. I would love to be a millionaire too, but
Well, no, you can't do that.
Exactly. But that's not in the foreseeable future for me. But we have to be smart about how we utilize our resources, which are limited. And I want to make sure that as the chief, that we are not duplicating services, because if so, then we're wasting the manpower that we have, and again, it's limited manpower.
Well, let me ask you this question. Okay, so let's say Alderman Ward 1, that's where a lot of the CCID stuff is.
Yes.
Or capital. So if a person calls there, hey, I need police, so they would respond. Yes. But what if they need help or what if you got an officer in that area? You can go in that area. I mean,
Absolutely.
Back and forth.
We do still have a footprint. I still have a precinct in that CCID. Half of the CCID is almost half of what we call precinct 2. But we still have a footprint there. We still have regular patrol in there. We have random patrol. We have directed patrols. We have operations within that area as well. So with that being said, the 911 system, Chief Bo Lucky and his team, DPS, doing a wonderful job establishing their 911 system. They are receiving some calls based on the information that I'm receiving, but the majority of the calls still come to us, and we patch them over to Capitol. So they'll get the call. If for some reason they're busy, they're tied up, we will send someone to address that call as well. We don't want some citizen just sitting there waiting 30 minutes, an hour on law enforcement, whether it's Capitol, Hinds County, or JPD. All three of us have that same shared mutual jurisdiction. Well,
what can they do? What can Bo Lucky's people do that your people can't? Or
I think
they more or what?
Well, we pretty much have the same authority. We enforce city ordinances, state laws. We make arrests on federal violations when we're looking for, federal prosecutions, and they have pretty much the same authority. Only thing that you would kind of carve out that they don't do is city ordinances. They don't enforce city ordinances. They're a state agency, so they enforce state laws. So that's one of the things that we're navigating through as to what that looks like. But I think that at the end of the day, more law enforcement is good.
Oh, yeah.
I think that we need to definitely have law and order in our city, but also do it in a way where we're not violating anyone's constitutional rights, civil rights, and I talk about that all the time.
Yeah, people don't need to think that jack boots are coming down the street. No, that's not it at all.
No.
But you want to know that if when you walk down the street or I walk down the street, that I'm going to be safe.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, and we're educating our public as well. We have a self-reporting system with a QR code that's on our JPD Facebook page. A lot of times when something happens, people want to dial 911, and I understand and I get it, and they want to see law enforcement, but maybe we could better utilize those services somewhere else. If you had a hubcap that was stolen a week ago, but you want the police to come to your house and take a report today, we don't want to tie that unit up with that. We can self-report that with the QR code. You can go on your computer, you can go on your cell phone and actually type the report in yourself, whether it's for insurance purposes or simply for us to know that something is happening in your area. But we're trying to educate the public because at the end of the day, we're still getting between 3,000 to 4,000 calls for service a week.
Would that be JPD.com? Is that?
This is our Jackson Police Department Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Yes,
okay.
if you have Facebook, just search Jackson Police Department. And we have created a huge footprint on social media now. Just talking to my amazing communications guy, Detective Tommy Brown, who's sitting over here to my left, watching my back wherever I go. But we have over 84,000 followers now on our JPD Facebook page. That is absolutely amazing.
And we should also make this known that those people those with those questions, they will be responded to. They're not going to sit there because you always hear them say, "Well, I sent a question in," or whatever. Never heard anything from them.
Yes.
Well, those days are not. Those days are gone.
Yeah, we're trying to be more responsive. We're trying to be more proactive instead of reactive. And we have to understand that we didn't get here overnight. I was looking at something on YouTube the other day, and it was talking about just median incomes and poverty and all these social issues that are faced in a lot of urban and inner cities across the country. So we didn't get here overnight. We're talking about decades of decay. So we're not going to climb up out of this overnight. But I know we have the right people in place, we have the right mindset, and we're doing these things for the right reason, the pure reasons that we'll climb up out of this situation.
And those citizens out there who are listening, they have to know that they're not going to be ignored.
No,
no matter what. Not just communicating by way of Facebook, but communicating 911.
Yeah.
You hear these old stories about, I had to wait a half an hour. No, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
We have, of course, you can call 911, but we also have administrative lines. We don't want you to type 911 when it's not something that is detrimental to you, a life-threatening situation. You can call our admin line at 601-960-1234 or 601-960-1235.
Okay.
1235. Mm-hmm. That way it will free up our 911 system for people who are in those life and death situations or facing some type of harm or injury. But we've come a long way. One of the things that I pride myself on is that when I took the helm, we only had about 20-some dispatchers. Ooh. Right now we're maintaining around 40.
Ooh.
So that's amazing. And we've relocated inside the Hines EOC building right here on I-55 North because we're doing some renovations. So we're actually inside the building with Hines County, who oversees the 911 system, So they're doing a wonderful job. I think Bo Lucky is doing an amazing job as it relates to establishing his 911 system. Then once they get that, they will take the load off of us as far as receiving their calls.
Nothing about your business is easy. I will say that.
Nothing.
But that, to be a dispatcher, has got to be the hardest of them all. They're the front line. Somebody calls in, you don't know if it's somebody pretending to be a little kid or if it really is a little kid in trouble. You don't know, or if it's, whatever. You don't know. And they have to make that determination lightning quick. Just how they do that. How do they train? I don't know.
Yes, I was, two things. The first thing is that you said make it look easy. I was at the Chiefs conference. I was talking to a chief somewhere, I think, was down in South Mississippi. She said, Chief, you make it look easy. I said, apparently I'm a good actor. Apparently I'm a great actor. That's if I make it look easy. Yeah. But our dispatchers, I went up to the 911 center 2 Fridays ago. I went in the room that they were in. And those ladies and gentlemen do an amazing job. They're dealing with a high-stress situation. And also sometimes people can be cruel when they are faced with trauma, when they're faced with stress and they're faced with danger. I've heard some citizens curse our dispatchers out, call them all kinds of names and stuff. And these people are just trying to do their job. They're trying to get you the help that you need because apparently you need that help because you called. So let's not curse them out. Let's not mistreat these people. These are mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles and grandmothers. They don't deserve to, come to work and be cursed out like that on a 911 call.
H.C. Porter, who she is. She's an artist and she has a gallery in Vicksburg. She's from here.
Yes.
And her vehicle caught fire on I-20 and she called 911. And at first she wasn't very happy with the dispatcher who kept saying, get out of there. And finally, okay, she got out of there and the dispatcher said, do you have a gun in there? And she told the story on there. She said, yes. And the dispatcher said, get way far away from it right now.
Yes.
And of course the bullets started going off and she just loved that dispatcher. Because she was absolutely right. Get.
Yes. Yeah, people don't realize our dispatchers are state certified. They have to be certified by the state of Mississippi to be a dispatcher.
Amazing training, I would have to think.
Yes, it's amazing training. It's stress-induced what they deal with and see every day. And my hat's off to them. They do an amazing job. I'm always going to continue to fight for them, pay raises, and to have the equipment that they need. Just like our JPD officers as we move into the new budget season. I know that we are going through some financial strains here in the city of Jackson, but we've got to pay our police officers, and we got to get them what they need to do their job, and that is police vehicles.
Well, what do you want to get?
We need vehicles.
What do you want, SUVs?
Well, the same thing that we got last year, the Durangos, where we can stripe them out with the new JPD look, the blue and white, just so we'll have those vehicles where police officers can respond to calls in a timely manner. That's one of the things I'll be pushing for as we move into the next budget cycle, which is now. Vehicles and pay raises for our men and women and let them know that I'm fighting for them. They don't have to fight for themselves, by themselves. I'll be fighting right with them.
One of the pieces of equipment that you talked about when you were on here last time, I think, were the license readers,
yes,
the tag readers, and they move around.
Yes.
You don't know where they are.
Yes.
People need to learn, if they haven't learned this by now, don't act out when you're in public because you don't know. Their cameras are everywhere.
Yes.
Don't be stupid.
Yes.
But people are stupid. I'm sorry, people. A lot of you are stupid. But explain how these things work, and you'll never know where they are.
There is
correct?
technology all around us, and we have 16 license plate readers. I was able to secure these license plate readers with the last budget that came in, and we have situated them around Jackson in these high crime areas, these ingress and egress points where people travel a lot.
Hold on the thought.
Okay.
One more segment, okay? And it
All
won't
right.
be very long. Right after this,
All right,
Mary
great.
Wieden, you'll be done by 10. All right, our final segment here with Chief Joseph Wieden, the longest interview.
It's a marathon today, huh?
I'm loving this because we're covering so much more territory. Because usually I say after one segment, "Well, you better go be a chief." But this is a rich time. It's a great time for you, great time for the city. And when we went to break, we were talking about license tag readers and how important they are. And I said about one city that's loaded with them, and you said they're all loaded with them. I didn't know that.
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to go out to the Fusion Center, the State Fusion Center, and they pull up on the screen for me all of the license plate readers in the metro area. And Clinton, Byram, Ridgeland, Madison, Gluckstadt, Brandon, everybody had license plate readers, and guess who didn't have them?
I can't believe it.
Go out on a limb and guess. It's $1 million question.
Let's see, could it be JPD?
Jackson, yes, JPD. We did not have any license plate readers. I'm like, this is unbelievable. So, again, I had this epiphany of what I'm going to ask for during the budget talks, and I was able to get them. And we got 16 that are situated around the city of Jackson. Mayor, they've helped us tremendously in solving cases and solving crimes here in the city of Jackson.
And how many more do you need?
Well, these 16 are doing an amazing job.
Because you move them around, don't you?
Yeah. Some we can move around, some are portable, and they're doing a great job. And what we did, we strategically placed them in high ingress and egress area. We're not going to put them in a cul-de-sac anywhere. We're going to put them in places where we know that when you commit a criminal act, you're probably going to go this way or go that way. Mm-hmm. And it's very important because now we can share that information with our state partners, federal partners, and also help us in prosecution of these cases. If you robbed a McDonald's and we got a picture of you in your car and tag right up the street, it's kind of hard to say that wasn't me. You know what I mean? Or I was in Destin, Florida. I wasn't in Jackson. So it has helped us out tremendously. And we've got to leverage technology and be smart about how we utilize technology here in the city of Jackson.
Well, how much? I've never seen a readout from one of them. I don't think. I mean, maybe I have, but for sure, I see video of people, not here, but necessarily on the news, where you see somebody in a car. And then you may see just the tag, but you can see the tag rather. So it takes a comprehensive picture, does it?
Yeah, it takes a picture of the vehicle. It's a very good picture, and the rate of taking these pictures is very accurate because it's getting almost every car that passes it is taking a picture of it. That's amazing.
It is.
That is amazing technology. But we're leaning into some other technology right now. Of course, I'm always focused on my human resources, my human capital, and that is the men and women who are putting their life on the line. And I'm doing that by making sure they get the equipment that they need and the raises that they absolutely deserve. But I'm also looking at new technology. It's the shot spotting technology. Shot spotting, where if we got some knucklehead shooting a gun, it's going to put us right there in the area where that gunshot is coming from. And that's something that we had probably 15 years ago, and we got away from it for whatever reason. So we have a demo of that being set up in South Jackson, and we're also working with another company to get it set up out in West Jackson, because that's where we have the largest amount of shots being fired. And want to make sure that we are locating these bad actors, because they're not shooting 22. They're shooting assault rifles. And we want to make sure we get them off the street. And also look at I know that shooting in the city is a misdemeanor, but I've also had some initial talks with our team to see if we can make at least some mandatory jail time, even with it being a misdemeanor, so we can at least test those shell cases, when we find you shooting in the city, to see if that weapon has been used to commit other crimes around the city as well.
Well, when would it rise in your mind to a felony? If you had so many misdemeanors that, 2 or 3, and then you become a felon. I mean, it's got to get more. You got to get.
Yeah, it would require state legislation when you start talking about
and
a
you
felony.
got a guy who is running the city who knows how that stuff works.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to leverage these relationships, because as I talk to these other chiefs and sheriffs about this ski mask thing, maybe it's the time to have some state legislation about it.
Again, you got a good direct line to
yes,
which is
because
helpful.
I've talked to mothers, I've talked to people who've been inside the dollar stores and some knucklehead walk in with a ski mask on. That is the ultimate form of intimidation.
No, really.
I think I'd be trying to find an exit to get out of there, but they're doing it for those reasons. They may not. We've had several that have committed robberies with the ski mask on, but we have some just walking around in the store with a ski mask on, intimidating people. That's exactly what they're doing.
That's nuts. Has your department ever had anything to do with the investigation of the former mayor, or was there ever any connection with JPD during that whole investigation of Lumumba, the DA and that other former? Or
no, that was
strictly federal.
Yeah, that was a federal investigation. We were not a
that.
part of that, and that's a very dicey question there. But
yes, it is. But I've been wondering about that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we were not a part of that. That was strictly a federal investigation. And again, we have a great relationship with our federal partners. We continue to work with them. I continue to speak with them on a daily basis.
And they never called upon you for anything.
No, I don't have anything.
They have their own people?
Yeah, they have their own people to do that. They would not need us on the local level to do anything like that.
There was this guy arrested, and I've read this on the websites, named Wieden Smith, arrested within the last couple of days, and he's got a $2 million bond, and he's said to be an extreme danger to women. Like, I've never heard that terminology before.
Yes.
And such a high bond without. Can you explain some of that? I mean, why was he designated like this? I know there are certain things you can't go into detail about, but
yes.
But what is about this guy?
Yeah, well, the thing about it, unfortunately, and that was taken. That statement was taken during an initial court appearance by the detective in the courtroom. We have to be careful when we're talking about victims of sexual assault and rape, out of respect for the victim and the victim's family. Because besides, losing a loved one, the trauma that, our women go through in our community that suffer from rape, we have to be careful as we deal with that. But when you have an individual who is preying on women, who is violent in his actions, yes, he's a danger to our community. When I'm talking about violence, I'm talking about with a weapon, threatening people and stuff like that. So we have to make sure that we inform the public about that and do our due diligence, but more importantly, do our part to get them off the street. And that's exactly what our men and women did, and I'm very proud of them for their continued effort, and also the judge for setting these high bonds. And I understand, my criminal justice background, that bonds are not designed to be punitive, but we've got to send a message out that our lives matter here in the city of Jackson just as they do in Madison and Rankin County.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, I would consider it punitive if some really horrible guy, sounds like this one is a pretty bad guy, So, hey, Lance, you got any questions you wanted to ask? By the way, usually you do. He's been so quiet in there, like, what's going on?
No, y'all covering everything so well. There's nothing for me to say here. Yeah.
We've solved all the problems.
I love listening to the chief speak, and having 3 segments today is perfect because there's so much to cover.
Oh, it's a lot. We could probably talk another hour, but unfortunately I have several other meetings lined up this morning.
They won't let us, and Gerard won't let us do that.
Yes.
And so what are you going to do today?
Yes.
By the way, you got a couple minutes here to tell us what's the rest of your day going to be like?
I have 2 meetings in my office with some community members, and I'm very excited about those meetings as we talk about, and Mary, my mindset when I talk about the city of Jackson, we know what the problem is. A lot of times I go to locations and, some individuals just want to point a finger at the problem. We've got to do more than that. We've got to take actionable measures and take tangible steps to move forward. Just talking about the problem is being a master of the obvious, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about next steps. And I love when I have community members that come to my office and we talk about initiative thoughts and how we can change the trajectory of our city. Then, of course, this afternoon I have a meeting with Chief Bo Luckett. We're going to talk about those MOUs. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have to have a memorandum of understanding what that stands for.
Yes.
But I think that I've said this before too, that there's a good sense for Jackson now.
Yes.
A very good sense. A big weight has been lifted, and y'all are get some new people. But importantly, are the people who live out there and listen to programs like this.
Yes.
And I think that you can't let them down, obviously.
Yes.
And I hope that they keep up the momentum. And I don't care what anybody is or what anybody does or what anybody looks like.
Yes.
Because when you live in Jackson, you're a Jacksonian. And that's just all there is to that.
Absolutely.
And it's your city. And it's your city to do with the best way that you can.
Absolutely. And again, I'm very excited about the future of Jackson.
Yes.
I'm vested in the city of Jackson.
So you're another one, yes, local.
Yeah, I've been here since 1995. I came on the PD in 95, and I moved to Jackson in 95.
You grew up in Terry, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Terry. I'm a country boy. I'm a country boy. But yeah, very close to Jackson.
Yes.
But I moved to Jackson. And both of my kids went to school here. Both of them graduated from Jackson State University. God's been good to me. I just paid off my house in Jackson last week, so God is amazing. So
good for you.
I have, none to complain about. I'm here because I want to be here, and I'm excited about what the future holds for us.
And it's going to be good.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now,
all right.
Yeah, but you can't go till we hear some music here.
Oh, I got to hear some more music, huh?
Got to hear a little more music. I don't know if it's going to be, is that going to be the theme song again? Yeah, he's making it the theme song, which is great. I love that. It's called Deceiver by Chris Lake, and it's Green Velvet, I guess it is. And you can find it on YouTube. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Chief, thanks a lot. This has been an absolutely wonderful show. Really glad to have you on.
I look forward to coming back before the end of the year, okay?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Anytime you want to come, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, and good luck.
I would love to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you all on Friday.
Talk